More cardio is literally the last thing you need to do more of when trying to lose fat, and this is the context in which I'll be focused on in this video. Cardio for fat loss, not cardio for other health markers. So in this video I'm going to outline 4 reasons why you don't need to do more cardio. Before we begin, hit like, and if you're new here, hit subscribe and the bell to stay up to date with all things fat loss. You may lose muscle. The last thing that we want when losing weight is to lose muscle. Muscle is metabolically active. Losing it slows down your metabolism, and it's one reason why people who go on crash diets and lose weight quickly regain the weight and more. They go back to old patterns of eating and not exercising, and they now have slower metabolisms than before, meaning that for the same amount of calories they eat, more is stored as excess energy or fat. In fact, an interesting study split participants into 3 groups: aerobic exercise, resistance training, combined group. The aerobic exercise or cardio group was the only group that lost muscle mass. 2, it makes you hungry. Now there's a concept called the constrained energy model, and basically when energy expenditure is increased, our bodies metabolically compensate in response. Now this study investigated this and the effect on how much was eaten after exercise, and the study found that compensation appears to be primarily the result of increased energy intake, eating more. Supporting the conclusion that compensation is due to increased energy intake, compensators had an increase in cravings for sweets and hunger and prospective food consumption. Now if we're going to lose fat, we do not want to stimulate hunger more than necessary, particularly if we're in a current pattern of eating large meals, eating high calorie dense processed foods when we're hungry. Now over the years I've heard people say things like, I exercise so I can eat what I want, or I deserve this cookie, cake, whatever it is, because I just did a workout. Now if we're currently in this pattern and doing exercise makes us hungrier, we could likely eat more calories than usual, which is an absolute disaster if we take point 2 into consideration. We don't actually burn that many calories when exercising. Using exercise as a means to burn calories isn't that great. As this model shows, we only have around 30% of energy expenditure to influence, and if you're an elite level endurance runner training around 140 minutes per day, you could burn around 1,285 calories, and this is around 30% of energy expenditure. In your low level weeks training for an hour per day, you could burn around 700 calories, and this is around 15% of energy expenditure. And this is elite level athletes who have the time, fitness, skill to train at such intensities, which for most of us just isn't practical. This means that your energy expenditure for exercise is likely to be much lower and much harder for you to influence, as you don't have the time, fitness, skill to reach the level that elite level athletes do. So you'll be putting in much more effort, burn fewer calories, which will then be exacerbated by the next point, reduction in NEAT. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. All those subconscious movements that you do throughout the day, fidgeting, walking, doing chores, etc. If you're sedentary, NEAT can be 200 calories per day. But if you're someone who does standing work, this can be 1,500 calories per day. Now we talked about the constrained energy model earlier, and it's also at play here. After intense exercise, the body adapts by reducing NEAT. This is important because NEAT, for most of us, is the largest source of calorie expenditure that we can influence. If doing an intense bout of exercise causes NEAT to be reduced, this is important to consider when purely thinking about calorie expenditure, as we want NEAT to be as high as possible. So to sum up, please do not prioritize cardio in your efforts to lose weight. That doesn't mean do not do cardio. Just switch your focus and priorities. First focus on making better nutritional choices, and you should get into a calorie deficit by eating less, as it's way more time efficient and less effort intensive than going for a run or doing a HIIT workout. Focusing on cardio may also stimulate your hunger and make you move less throughout the day. 2 things that we absolutely do not want when we're trying to lose fat. Also may cause some reduction in muscle mass if you're not strength training and eating enough protein as a priority, which will also reduce your energy expenditure long term. Again, something that we do not want if we want to lose fat and keep it off for good.